The shapes. The sun through a window put a shape on your head. Another shape moved on the pillows, the walls. Music and light at the all-morning motel. When you slam the car door, the whole water vibrates. We loaded the car and got out of the car. I pulled my arm from the seat through the carpeted woods. Dead cars in the culvert, the woods, and the stream. Wind shapes moved off like hands through the reeds. Something small, something toothed, wriggled in mud. At times, still and wakeful, moaning, I watched. A nipple, the pines, blue stones, and then words. Just put up a finger, say something wet, and your face will rise up and shimmer with eyes. I've never been that close to a shape. It's like trying to say the water is there and flow over rocks and glimmer at once. You pulled your arm from the wall, sticky with shapes. Later, we died in your room with our mouths. Light slickened the leaves, the wind, it's not me. Beyond that, a wall, more skeptical trees. Fetishism. A storm above land swirled over unthought, while light filled the fields with tinier eyes. The saints flashed their mirrors, the windows surged up. I go over there, but it doesn't exist. Difficult, too, is how the things mooed, how milk increased, how the path flew away. The wind fattened itself and fluffed up the leaves. I really don't know which thing could be me. This is where in the story that the I turns to crimes. The film works like this, and it pushes me back to run along then through blue fields of chalk. The words take their line from the unready dead. I discovered dead men and their system of cars, their smoking system, how to lie in the grass, with hair photographed and your face wrinkled up, while the distance resigned or held out a tree. I stared at that cross disguised as a tree, and evolved of my brain some more wooden brains. In the mirrors, pine boughs, fog, and then rain. I should have said stains. My body was there. Like the dirt. 5 ceremonies. When we ran, it was called the fighting with the grass. On our legs, the left ones, we placed the simple words, as if we ran on our buttocks, as if we fell in large drops. Silence came as if feathers lay dead. Just for walking on the tar, like with fingers, now for stumps. In the blinding mirror thing, the trees are motionless. It's the earth we'll have to wear and smear your mirror head. Secretly, we ate the paintings of each place. Ensorcelled in bark and gnarled blue skin, we grasped one another and entered the dirt. Nothing but words, much did they gleam. Squares of white light on the floor of the wind. We fed birds in my dream and my life from your hands. At the sign of small claws, I have to wear this old head. A gesture, a lip, the shadow of haste, and then drive the burgundy cars and the earth. The years went whirling. There was shaking of their capes. Dying on their backs is called It Has a Back. We're pressing soft blue chunks to the words. There is going by each one, in secret, like the dirt. I'll finish with this poem. It's called Prodigals. Do the spent later return because they'd forgotten something? Food? Beneath the barrel of leaves, they thought the god would drool, or something, to see them torn from this book. But must we go on with these swarms of the judge? Horsebacked, bewhipped, pommel hand drawn? and the way they fix me and gaze with the ranch. Perhaps I would never, and the barrel, the fence, like when riding in the hills one tosses back one's head. But now the night and jasmine unfold, and the land gets promised to someone at the end. Meantimes, I, the poet, have returned from nearby to be far away from you, with you and all my words. But now you have the words. With the little pictures they arrive, to be near you, inside you, just when they disappeared. You'll see here a small deer in the arms of the erased. Here's the river, with the capture of the deer, and the forest, and the war, and the vast gray poisoned lake. Meanwhile the light is changing, rolling down the sky, to a lot behind a fence with the weeds, and now the stumps. Feathered, prehistoric, we are drying in their throats, and are echoed and brought further over distance by the doves. But will you buy what I have bought? Will you hold it to your zone and smell it with your lips while I squeak on you like doves? I, in this symphony of God in your head, I am drowning your head. That's what their song said. But here our bodies turned away. Each burrowed toward its core in the image that was there and flickered and went on. Riding back in the truck, white leaves poured overhead, like song words in light rain, till the strategy devolved, and at dawn we were possessed, like in the frieze or photograph on the patio, and damned with ornamental froth. So the god turned us into furniture in its songs about the past. You've been squirming for 3 minutes now with its words under your flesh, stuck into your skin by this radiant quack. And the cheese on the counter grows wet and more sick, and the newsday is slick with more thoughtless heat. But then the birds began in unison. Why lock up your throats? One can start again. There are gestures between thoughts, a slipping out of pants and into different dress, a mustache and a wing, and every Tuesday at a tusk, or painted goiter on the hip up by the foam-injected stones. But then life caught up with us again, and then 2 years, and then the war. Beneath the surface of our jobs as the light will rise and fall on the patch of dirt we made, to which we'd sworn to turn away and grow tubers into school of congealed light and noise. Staggering now with nothing like a will, we round the corner of that house and burst onwards towards home. Then day, so friendly sometimes, so sometimes far away, on the hillside with the forehead rocks and the tiny golden birds, appeared on all the roadways, on the grass patches with the shrubs and the trees that Mummy placed next to the on-ramp in the swamp. I remember once, under those trees, while inside our bones grew dark, cars whooshed and rubber flaked along the edges with the light. It was of the edges the light spoke, and of the shapes preceding names that flew in patterns through our lungs. A wren, I thought. A face. Bird bath, you said. And straight out of that bush a hummingbird rose at a speed beyond breath. Another one born, shrinking, lifted up. It's all as the song goes, too beautiful for votes. The light gestures again at the longing for delay as well as the devotion to arrival and change. But this curtain of forms, California, is a fetish for all kinds of enforcers who wield the pulsing blob of lines by which we are each removed from the earth. Are persons like ours really needed to carry these bodies and eyes? And so back again to this city in the red flow from vents of the names, buried under the house with our umbilical cords and our names, we're alone again in that dream. This was the meaning of catch and release. But the very next day charm returned as the true source of life as we knew it, charm of the lips, our charming limbs, a movement of voice and the lids. So in our caskets we left rods and sticks and hid out again in the trees. It's this need for adventure in everyday life, to take the wrong turn in the park and discover the forest they left there where men suck each other and fuck. That lake is covered in soundproofing, and the hawks here are smaller and fleet. They jet between pines and squawk and soar out over the ridge and the cars. I think they have multiple souls, or I think we have multiple souls. I see us down there in the gulch, with the streaming light and the mud when we stared at the birch long enough to begin to sprout leaves in your blood. But nighttime's home improvement draws us out again from the trees, over the lawns, helplessly houseward, and the neighbors rush inside. So we vote for more darkness, tall grass, and more wind, moonrise over the damned. Let this moment stand for me, myself addressed to you, paused in the doorway at the trauma near the end. The shadow of my hat falls flat across my face, obscuring all the features there. And you, in the ski mask, smirking in the hall. What will happen next? So taking care to wipe the knobs, we padded backwards down the stairs. The neighborhood had vanished, and the mirrors and the screens might beat against our hips like bodies in a gym. It was as if we could proceed unarmed into the woods, and there find a bed of furs and feathers in the dirt, and resting there and dreaming, regain our bodies and their limbs, and then emerge along the wires that led back into the mall. And so we'd see you there, on the corner, at the light, face shadowed by your hoodie, leaning on the oak when we passed in borrowed cars on our way to get more drugs. Rewind the film, repeat, watch the bellies of the leaves, in slow motion, lifted up by speed and then the wind. First the wind, then the grass, then the words began to tick. And the next thing that I touched was your body on the screen. But soon a less personal question arose. That of loneliness, touching the food. How to explain it to others? In your bathrobe, driving west to a sound, or dazed by a jade plant at noon. The colors are perfect, but the lines are unreal for the dreamless afflicted by road signs and blur. Still, if over each object at once each of our bodies inclines, and if the words of description each utters shake through the bodies and air, can't we say that the object is saying that its absence, like presence, is there? It's like it was in the beginning, in the world, back on the farm. The hungry shapes were willing, the barrels and the boats. Love in the foreground would trace a twisted bow, and in the glitter on the ice, that vanishment was yours. The others gathered there in families, at the edges, at the shore. Is there any hope for us at all, they said. Not for us, they said. So coming back now from the north, life foretold itself again, bloviated blank on top of all of this. Take it with you, please, like a photo of these chairs, impersoned on the dock and left there with the years. Thanks.